What's up, everybody? So in this video, I want to talk about risk management. And risk management is a combination of many things. A lot of you guys are struggling with either finding entry or not knowing when to exit the stock or when to stay in the stock. And I think that a lot of that has to do with, one of the key main problems with that is you're 9 times out of 10 you don't have a trade plan. If you're fearful, is you don't have a plan. You need to have a plan in the stock before you buy it. Like if you bought LIDAR today, which is 328, right? You would have a trade plan that if LIDAR goes to, if you buy it at 328, you would say if LIDAR went to 350, I'm taking profits. If LIDAR goes below 320, because I bought at 328, I'm exiting the stock. You can base that based on percentages for those of you who want more structure. So you could say if I'll go 10% lower than my entry, but I'm taking 20% profit higher than my entry. So if it goes less than 10%, you automatically are out, or you're 20% up, you're automatically in. And if you're able to manage, you're out on the opposite side. So if you're able to manage risk effectively, you could definitely stay in the game a lot longer, not blow your account, and you could make decent money and protect capital at all costs. So if you find yourself scared and you don't know when to take the trade or if I should get in here or not, obviously you need to go through your trade plan. You obviously need to confirm it's the right setup, and you also need to confirm if the stock has news. That is your process. If you stick to your process, you're going to be right sometimes and you're going to be wrong sometimes. There's going to be trades that are going to fail, and there's going to be trades that are going to work. As long as you stick to that same process and that fundamentals, you'll be successful. It's like you're going to go and do surgery. You're going to do the same thing every day. Sometimes the patient may have a complication that you didn't expect, and it changes the outcome of the surgery. But 90% of your cases, or 99, 95, or I won't say 90, but 70% of your cases are running smooth, right? You do the surgery's done. It's always when you have those little complications that the surgery now becomes prolonged. So it's the same thing here, right? You dot your T's and Q's, your P's and Q's, you're going in there, you're saying, I checked the chart, I check it had this the right setup, it's the cup and handle. As you can see, it's got my U shape starting to form. You're like, all right, I want to take this trade, it has news. I got the signal. I'm all in. But the number one thing I want to give you guys is sometimes is to draw Fibonacci lines on your chart. This will help you determine price levels as well. If you want to determine, okay, what's the next level of resistance? What's the next level of resistance? What's the next level of resistance that I need to make in order if I want to keep riding this trade? So sometimes people are like, yo, how do you know when to stay in the stock? Use Fibonacci lines and they'll help you stay in the stock a lot longer. This video is not like gonna explain Fibonacci lines like the best. I'm not explaining what it is. Like I'll explain what it is, but I'm not explaining it from the expert position. I'm explaining it from a tool that I use to make money. Now I have Fibonacci lines on this already, and I just deleted them for the video and everything that I was using on this chart. It's because I traded it before, so I know. So first thing first, does the stock have news? They said on August 25th, the stock had news, right? I'm going to walk you through why I took this trade. Stock had news. It confirmed it had the right setup, right? I was looking at this on a 15-minute. It had the right setup, right? It popped. It had news. It ran to 344. And I believe I bought somewhere around here. In this candle around here, because it started having that U signal. On the 1 minute, obviously it's gonna look a lot different. It started having that U setup. It tried here, failed, then it started having the U setup, and I think I bought somewhere around here, and I think I sold around 326 when it had resistance, right? Sold around there. So because it didn't break out, the chart didn't confirm. It failed. It was a failed breakout. I was hoping for a bigger breakout. It didn't happen. That is what I call following your process. And if your process works, you make a lot of money. If your process fails, you manage risks, right? You get out, you change the course, you call for help, you call for backup, get a second opinion if you're in surgery, whatever. Sorry for the medical references, but let's get straight to it and draw fibs, right? So on this chart, I'll be drawing Fibonacci lines, and because the stock had a pop, I'll use a 4-hour time frame to draw it too, right? You can use a daily chart if it's easier, but we can use a daily chart, doesn't matter. So I would literally go and I would draw fibs on this, right? And I'll make this a little bit bigger, right? So I will start from the top of the trend, right? Because this was a pullback, right? So if it's a pullback, we're going to start from the top of the trend, right? So it wicked out at 644. So I'll do it from the wick line, and then we'll do it from the low of wherever that chart is, right? That wick line. So let's say it's 237. Now what we're going to do is, now you have these pointers, right? 0.0%, 23.6%, 38.2%, 50%. Usually these things reject or break out of 50%. So if it's coming from the bottom and it breaks above 50%, that's really bullish. But you still got to get through these levels that are here, right? I'll remove this so we can see it. You still got to get through these levels like 333, 392, 341, 49, 557, 644. So now you see the levels. So when you look at that stock, these are my levels. You're like, what are my levels? These are my levels. Now we're going to go into smaller time frames, because now we got a broad view of the stock. We see how high it went and rejected. Now we're going to the smaller time frame to confirm, right? To see where we execute trades. Those are in the 1, 5, 15s. If you're new, stick to the 5, 15s. And then we'll look at it from my view, which I was on the 1 minute, right? So I'm looking at this stock. This stock had news, right? I'll go to 15. As you can see, it hit the bottom of the Fibonacci line, which was 237. And this is when the trend decided to change, right? It went from down to now you're having that upward trend, which is now, going in this direction. So you got a buy signal, which we confirmed, but I missed the buy signal. I wasn't watching the stock. I didn't know it had news. I kind of just saw it intraday. And you see the aggressive candles. You see all that. Cool. Now, as you can see, this is the bottom of the Fibonacci line, 237. So if I had drawn this chart the night before, I would have said, okay, the next line that this stock needs to go get in order to go a little bit higher, it would need to break 333. So even if I saw this and I have fibs, I would have said, okay, I bought 237. Let me see if it can go get 333. If it can go get 333, it's good. If not, it may reject and come back down, because it has to break these lines in order for it to go higher. So if it broke 333, I would have said, okay, next resistance is 392. 392 broke, I would have said next resistance is 441. 444.89. Then it would have been the all-time high, which was 644. Then it would have been like blue sky, right? So what ultimately happened was it broke over 333, but then it probably got shorted here, right? Aggressive sellers shorted it right under 333, and the stock closed 328. So really, for this stock, for it to have strength, it would need to kind of break over this 50% for us to kind of see continuation and hold above. But if it broke 333, you would then go for the next line, which is 392. So if you kind of need help and you're like, dang, what do I need to do to stay in the stock? Draw fibs on your chart. Then you'll get levels and you'll be able to determine like what's the next level. So that helps a lot, especially like if you're a new trader. And I'll talk about my entry in the trade, right? I waited for it pop, P44. I think I bought the pullback, right? I bought somewhere around here. And I was like, all right, let me see if I can go get that retest. But I already knew, which I had a line already, that this was heavy resistance in this area, that 331. Which is funny, right? It's right next to the fib line, which is 333. So I'm like, all right, it need to go get 331. But it never got it. So I bought it here, and then I bought it here, and I bought it in the 320s. I wrote it up to 330, like 329, and then it failed, and then I sold. So then you can see, where is this shit at, bro? Oh, I think the day changed, so you don't see the P&L gain because the time is now 12:27. It would have showed before. That's fine, but I think I made some money on this, very small. And there you have it, right? That's fibs for you. I mean, we can go draw a fib on open if you want, or I don't even have to draw on open because I always talk about open. Let's use BMNR. Like for example, even BMNR, right? I don't use this because I really use this. I watch this stock like every day. Let's use MBOT, perfect example. See, MBOT, I have fibs on this already, so I was already watching levels, and I had drew a fib from the peak top, which was 337 before, to that low, which is 126. So I already have fibs on this, so it kind of just broke every level, and as you can see, it kind of just rejected the top of the fib literally right here, right? And a lot of stocks respect fib lines, which is why it's such a popular tool. You can see it kind of reject close to that 462 and kind of just shot down to 416. So usually, I mean, if a stock is working its way, it will start cracking through these fib lines. And that's how you know, like, if a stock can really move or not, you know, it's if it gets through that 50% line. So it got through the 50% at 232 and it held above it. And then once it got through the 50%, it just aggressive buying and took off. And right, and you had aggressive selling and it just took off, and it's just, we haven't heard from it since. So if you want to follow levels, you know, definitely draw some fibs, you know, that'll help you a lot. Even here, I have fib lines here, right? So you want to make sure that's respecting the fib line. So it crossed over, you want to make sure that it holds it and it keeps going. So definitely watch Fibonacci videos. I think that will help you get price levels on certain stocks that you're looking to trade. Like we could do it, we could draw a fib on this one. This is nice right here, right? So we'll do it. So this is the top of the, where it had the high, it kind of sold off and it kind of bottomed literally right here, right? And now you have fib lines. As you can see, literally it rejected the 50% line. So you had your 50% Fibonacci and it rejected it. So right here is the rejection. Right here is your 50%, right? It actually broke above it and rejected the 61.8 and then tried to retest and couldn't hold support over the 50% and it rejected. But you could see that's how you determine the levels. Like, okay, what's the next level? Okay, 733, what's the next level? Okay, 750, what's the next level? 763, what's the next level? 77.7. So then if you see it reject, then you could probably exit the trade and get out. Trading gas, man, I hope this was helpful. Draw Fibonacci lines so you can get price levels, and then you can start determining what prices to expect if the stock was to take off running. I'll see if I can do it on open one good time. So open, I would probably do this one. If I saw this chart, I'll probably do this low to high. I don't know why that just stuck out to me more. But you could do it high to low, but I would do low to higher, right? I'll do from here, and then I'll do something like that, right? And I'm doing that to see how low can open go based on fib levels. So based on fib levels, I want to see open go and hold at least a 58% or each level. So if it did open hold 360 to 23.6, nah, it failed. So 38.2% says open is at 325. So what happened to open, right? You can see it clear as day that open respected the fib line and held 325, right? So this is open, it held 325 literally here. And that's when the stock had aggressive buying. It bounced and it ran, right? And you can see it on the 1 hour. So I have to go to different time frames to see it. So you can see right here, it hit the top of the fib. That's why I said low to high, because I want to see where the pullback is going to occur. And if it broke 360, then I'll be like, okay, the next level of support will be 325, which is exactly what happened at 325. It then broke 360, then I'll be like, okay, the next level I need to break is 416. It broke 416 and it just accelerated higher. So you would then kind of just ride the wave a little bit and, you know, figure out your exits based on that. But if you bought around the fib line, which is 225, and it took off, I mean, you were in profits. And on top of that, you probably had probably had a buy signal in that range, right? We had a buy signal right on the fib line, right? So all these things they're just tools to confirm the moves and determine exits and entries. So practice with fib lines, watch fibs. I think this will help you manage risk a lot better, and it'll also allow you to determine price levels. This is just a tool. This is just a tool using the toolbox in combination with everything else that we do. If you don't like fibs, you don't have to use it. If you do like fibs, use them, but practice with them. Good luck.